All right, we will be starting here in about 5 more minutes. To give some more time for other people to show up. I still get messages. And then also for those who are online, we will be having the screen open up here in about 2 more minutes. So to all the viewers that are watching online, thank you guys very much. And we're going to be moving forward shortly. Um, um, do I have game night? Yes, everything is inside of. I have a folder that says premieres for what we had did.
So every day I write down like tips. Yeah. That's gonna be like,
Okay.
just put it down. Yes.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. For those who don't know, I am the first to introduce myself. I am Bernard Fields. I am the president and one of the co-founders of the B3C Connect Collective that was founded back in 2017. And then this is Alicia Redmond. She was also one of the co-founders back in 2017, and she's currently the vice president. That's a wonderful job as we support one another. I can't say that she supports me, I try to do this. I support her as well. But feel free to move a little closer if you want to. If not, feel free. You're fine to stay right where you are. But I want to just come on up. Make some. You got plenty of room. Yeah. It's a little closer. Yes. We apologize about the delay. 30-minute delay. We were dealing with some technical difficulties that we finally figured out. Yes. It was out, right. Oh, okay. It's a little bit on the floor too, but we'll make sure we get out there.
I mean, that's one. Oh.
All right, but before we continue on, I want to go ahead and open us up with prayer. Because I find it funny that people want to give God credit at the end. You remember how it was back in the day when they had like the R&B tapes, they had God like the last song on the B-side. They'd be like, this song is dedicated to Jesus. I did commit a fornication, killing, murder, all that something at the end would be like, the Lord God, we thank you. Like, what? Jesus. What in the world is going on here? So even when it comes to awards, people want to get up there and they want to think they're wrong, go to Disney World, and last but not least, we get God thanks. But I want to try to reverse that. So I'm going to always open up with the word of prayer and giving God thanks ahead, because without Him, none of this would be possible. All right? So, Father, Lord, in the name of Jesus, we come before you. Thank you, God, for allowing us to be able to come together with the many gifts that you have blessed us with, for allowing us to be within our right minds, to have the right spirit, to have the right heart, to not just love on you, but to love one another. And we do this through the gifts that you have given us, and we ask that you will be with us, and that you will allow us to have a smooth session today. And we ask this in Jesus' name, right? Amen.
Amen.
All right, I'm probably getting people calling me because they're trying to get in, so just give me a moment. Okay. So today we're going to talk about planning and calendaring. How many of you all do that, or consider themselves to do it well, or don't do it at all? Calendaring. Calendaring is when you sit down, you take the time, just give me those blinking eyes and that little smile like, I don't do that, but I don't know. But hopefully at the end of this session, this will kind of give you an eye opener, and especially since it's the beginning of the year, it's super important that you have to calendar. This is not just something that you just do one time at the beginning of the year, or when you just have that urge and that's it. This is something that you have to put in your life, and you have to apply it throughout the day. So we're going to be talking about that. And within that, small micro things that we'll be covering is about pre-production, production, post-production, releasing any of your content, and then just really just to follow through and planning for the next thing. So that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to also allow us to have an open session. So this is not just Alicia and myself up here talking at you, we're talking with you. So feel free, if you have any question at any moment, just to raise your hand. We can put a stop, a pause, and address that, and then continue on. So even if you have a point that you want to make, if you feel like, you know what, there's something that I do that I believe that other people in this room can learn or apply to their lives, please feel free to share. The only wrong thing you can do is not share. Yeah, that might also work too, just in case somebody has a question or comment. All right. So we're going to show a couple of films here. One that Alicia and I had done about maybe 3 years ago. At this point, I believe it was 3 years ago. And we're going to play this video that we have produced for a client, and then we'll talk about our planning process, things that we did to go from point A to point B. We'll take it. Yeah, it was good. Right. It's been a while. But the process of us planning that, we'll start from the very beginning. Kind of like with the client that we are dealing with, is Switch Furniture and Lighting. They are on 4th and Plum, I believe, still. And they hired us to put together a commercial, a promo for them for their Valentine's Day. That's it. All types of stuff is happening. So they had us to come out, and we sat down with them, and we began this planning process. So we just didn't sit down and it was like all of a sudden, bam, this was it. We had to go through some steps and some stages. So you want to talk about the first stage, one of the first things that we did?
So one of the first things that we did was sit down with Bertie. He's one of the co-owners of the store. And so he was the one that was in the video like, what do you think? And he's an actor anyway, and he loves being in front of the camera. So we sat down with him to talk about vision and just brainstorm ideas. And once we came up with something, then we proceeded to think about who could we cast in it. And the thing that I really want to point out to you guys, Bernard has so much equipment right now. When we started and when we did this video, it was it on the 70D?
Yeah.
It was on a Canon 70D.
1080 was before that.
1080 quality, one light, one camera, one tripod. So I'm saying that to say you don't need you don't need the world to create something that looks pretty good. As long as you have your story and as long as you know where to place that light. That's the key. Right? What you say? You want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so to piggyback on that, when it comes to the planning, that's the key. Also, when it comes to planning, understanding who your audience is. You know, sometimes we just kind of jump in, or you know, and I say we, broad brush speaking. We sit down before a client and we want to put out what we think is good because of what we're used to seeing. You know, but we have to take the time to slow down and be able to start asking the right questions. Who is this for? Who was the audience? And as you can see within the video, we didn't have two young people on the couch. We could have. That probably would have had loosened sex appeal, you know, according to social standards. But according to his demographic, he was saying that there's older people that buy our merchandise. And so we have to put ourselves in that mindset and not try to be like, oh no, if you just go ahead and do it the way that we feel that it should be done, trust me, it'll be a lot better. No, we had decided that, you know, it's best to target the demographic, which is the older demographic of people, and it'd be best to cast those types of people. So they had a couple of friends, again, friends helping friends, community-based. Yeah. Yes. And they were like, oh, so all we gotta do is just be ourselves. And it's like, right? It was like, yes, just be yourself on this couch, on the sofa, on this love seat. And so we tried to do, we pitched a couple ideas with the one that we decided to go with, and we just kind of, you know, collectively just picked out some different ways that we could get the message across without having to use words. And that, again, that is all part of the planning. So we're talking about pre-production here. So pre-production is before production. Okay, production is that day of the shoot. So you have three stages. You have pre-production, production, and you have post-production. So pre-production is what we just got finished talking about. And even when it comes to that, you have to make sure that you, let me back up. Let me back up a little bit, because I think I'm moving a little too fast. When you're sitting with a client, or if you're sitting with yourself, you have to be able to plan things out, again, based on your calendar. So you have to have a beginning, middle, and you have to have an end. The beginning, of course, is the initial idea that you have. Then you gotta jump from that, and you gotta jump all the way to the end. And you have to be able to make a definite finish line. Because if you don't have a finish line, it can go on and on and on. And for some people, it can never come to fruition because you never declare this is where we're going to stop. This is the goal that we have to hit. So you have to set a due date. So that's one of the things we ask them. It's like, you know, when is this due? Before we even came up with any ideas. When do you want to have this done? Oh, do
We knew that we wanted to do it for Valentine's Day, you know, and have it in time for Valentine's Day. So that was our hard deadline. And so working backward, you've got to think about how many people do you have in this production? Literally, really like, how long will this take to shoot? How long will this take to edit? How long is this video going to be? When you think about how long it takes to shoot, one of my things is make time your friend. If I didn't learn anything on Willows, which is, we'll talk about that in a minute, make time your friend. So kind of over-guesstimate, give yourself a little more time than you think. You think it's gonna take, it's just gonna take 4 hours, it's just two people and they're just sitting on the couch. No, you might have a setup here, you might have to move this light here, that's gonna take time. And then you gotta set your camera for that shot. And then you gotta come over here and set it up for this shot. and then you gotta come over here and set it up for the center, and like for that. It takes time. Okay, so make time your friend. I can't emphasize that enough. And then, like he was saying, you gotta know your audience. Who is this person? Who is their audience? Who are we shooting for? What message are we trying to convey? You know, clearly Birdie has a humorous side, and he's got a little, fun, kind of sexy side. And he was okay with displaying that, and he knew that his audience would be okay receiving that. So you got to think about that too.
Yes. So when it comes again to your pre-production, calendaring is the main thing that you got to do first. Don't do anything else. After you kind of agree that I have an idea and I need to follow through with this, you got to make sure that you have your calendar out. Okay, so once you find your deadline, you're like, this is the hard date where we got to be at, then you can back up and you can start filling in all of the little blanks, such as your meetings. As far as how many pre-production meetings are we going to have, such as when we sat down with Bernie and was discussing exactly what his vision is going to be. After that, then you have to set up your production date. When are you going to shoot? Because you have to also keep in mind that as soon as you get finished shooting, then you're going to go into post-production. Post-production is that space and time in which you do your edits, you do your reshoots, pickup dates. If you need to do some pickup days for filming, you got to do that all the way up until the day that it is due. And that's also including your rounds of revisions, your drafts, all of that. So when that date comes, me personally, I try to beat that date by like a week in my mind because time is free. Make time free. If you feel that, okay, for example, when it comes to your hard deadline in your mind, add another week to that. But don't say it out loud. Don't give out that date as of yet, or even to yourself. Just give yourself some time because there's going to be something that's going to pop up. Always. It's like what's called Murphy's Law. It's like whatever's bad is going to happen is going to happen. So you got to make plans for that. We do that when it comes to our day-to-day life. When it's time to go to work. You leave maybe 15 minutes earlier than what you normally would. You have to make preparation. It could be rain, it could be traffic, it could be any of those things.
I was going to say regarding preparation, you want to make sure you've got batteries, whatever, you got extra stuff on hand, because if you have to make a run somewhere, that's eating into your time. That's eating into your time. So be as prepared as possible with your equipment. Think about what does that camera need? Okay, do we need any other cords for lights? Do we need tape? Just all the stuff. Just think about what the shoot is going to require and have some extras on hand. Always extra batteries for sure for your cameras.
And so after we got finished going through our calendaring, then it was time to go into production. It was simple. We already had it planned out. We was telling the client that, by, I'm just hypothetically speaking, it was like maybe by like mid-January, we'll have everything. We're going to start shooting on January 15th. That way that gives us a month to be able to have this go live. Not that on February 14th, we're giving it to you to make sure that it's okay. We're giving you this date because that's when it's supposed to go out. So 7 days before that, February 7th, we want to make sure that you have it and you're like, this is great. Because you don't want to be stressed out those last 7 days, wondering, is it going to get done? Are we going to be able to pull through? You don't want to be up against the ropes, so to speak. So make sure that you make time for your friend, and the best way you can do that is by having yourself a nice calendar. Okay, so on that day when we were shooting, I think it took us about maybe 5 to 6 hours for us to be able to get all the shots that we needed. And then it took us about maybe a couple of weeks after that to go ahead and to go through the rounds of revisions, to send it out, first draft, second draft, and then even with us working together, pulling out shots, trying this, trying that. Again, it just takes as much time as possible to be able to do it and not be stressed out. One thing, I'll drop a gem. I tell people, when it comes to pricing, make people pay for your headache. Make it worth it, because you're going to go through, and you're going to have bumps in the road, but it makes it better when you're getting paid. Because I mean, it's the worst when you're not getting your worth, your value. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I done put in how many hours now? Yeah, $50 for 50 hours worth of work. That's $1 an hour. That don't make no sense in the world. But there's people out there that do that because they do not know. Again, that's a whole other topic that we can really just talk about, because about understanding your value, knowing how to rate your work, how to price things out. That's just as important, folks. I really can't stress that enough, because you can do all the calendaring in the world, but if you don't have a nice price point attached to it, then I ain't gonna say it's not worth it, but you dropped the ball. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then
sometimes you may just want to build your portfolio. You may want to build your reel, and you do some spec work, and hey, I just want to come in, shoot your store, or we're talking about really kind of commercial work right now. But and you can do that. If it's going to benefit you, do that. But if not, you need to charge where you're not sitting here working on this thing and working on the edit, and you're just like frustrated, like, I'm spending all this time. And again, time. You could be spending time doing something else that you're being paid for. You could be spending time doing something else that's going to get, that you can send to someone, and they're going to give you work. They're going to give you a job. But no, we charge $50 for this video, and now you're sitting up here frustrated because it's taking you, like you said, 50 hours, worth of work. So make it work for you. Make it, as long as it's working for you, then you're good.
And then I'm gonna say this while we're on that topic of talking about rates and price. Don't be afraid to get rejected. Sometimes we, as entrepreneurs, like, I do this full time. So it's like, if I don't work, I don't eat. And sometimes, before some years ago, I would just take almost anything. $50? Yes, I'll do it. And then they'd be crying, like, they got paid $2 an hour to do all this work. But what you have to do is you got to be able to understand your value. You got to put your foot down.
Now, let's talk about that for a minute. So understand your value. So look at what's out there. Look at what's popular. Look at videos that you really like. And if you know that you're not quite there yet, you still want to charge for your time, but don't charge as much, maybe. Because it's not quite there yet. And if it's not quite there, that's okay. That's what practice is for, and that's what charging at a certain level is for. But we don't want to go below a certain level, because it takes time. It takes your skill. It takes, there is value in what you do. There's value in what you create. So just keep that in mind as you are pricing yourself.
And stay out of people's pockets. Because I'm dressed a certain way doesn't mean I have this money. It means I'm just not showing you the money I have. Because sometimes I do that. I feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to charge this, I'm going to charge you that. But in reality, they're going to pay your work.
Because she might be paying $500 for her hair. Hello? He might be paying $500 for his tennis shoes. People pay for what they want to pay for. So if you want this skill, you're gonna pay for it. And people need to learn how to invest in themselves and invest in what is going to bring them their future. Instead of something that's going to fade away eventually.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, I'm just saying for myself.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
So since I guess we're on this whole topic of money, we're just taking a quick pit stop on this. I just want to do a quick experiment. How much do you think something like this would cost?
Or rain.
Or should cost?
Or should commercial.
Yeah, this video right here that you just witnessed, how much do you think it should cost?
$2,000.
2,000? Is it 4,000 or 5,000? Okay.
I'm gonna say about 2,500.
2,500? All right. Now, I'm going to ask the same question. How much would you charge to produce that video? I just asked you what you think it should be, but now I'm asking you, if you were in the moment and you were sitting down with that person and they was to ask you, yeah, I need this to be done. How much are you going to charge me?
I'm not an editor, and I don't know much about editing, but I know that some of my friends that it takes long time. So definitely 2,000, something like that.
Okay.
I think depending on your reputation that you would get in there and produce some stuff, you have, good examples to show. You'd always be showing the client, that they're going to get good value for their money. So, I mean, shoot like 35, maybe after a marketing session.
Okay.
And as soon as you start going north, and now this is after you get started. The more you go, that's what it's going to be hard to overcome that. And that client's going to say, yeah, they did it for $50. And then they're going to still recommend you. Well, and that's when they say, I did this video for you. Well, how much did this first thing? How much did it cost? Oh, well, I thought I could get it for 100, but they found me 50.
Yeah.
They're not going to, that next person's going to want to pay more.
Right. Moving on to this table.
Now, I was going to say, I would consider how much value it actually comes.
I would consider how much value it would bring to the company. I don't have an exact number, but that's kind of what I would think about, like how much is this going to boost the company? Because if they're going to make, thousands of dollars off of something that I've created, I have to consider that.
I was gonna say, similar to what you were saying, it would depend on the client, like what they really can afford to do, what they're trying to do, and what I know I can do, and then I gotta think about if I got help, because I gotta pay my help. So it might fluctuate between.
My name's right over. I was gonna say it would probably determine on how much time it's gonna take. Because even though, like, watching this video, I'm like, that's really good, but I know as a newer person, I'm probably gonna take maybe more time because I don't have as much experience in cutting film and editing myself and even just trying to get the lighting right. So I would say the hours that it would probably take, I know you guys said it took like 5 hours to like shoot one part, but maybe the shooting was 5 hours, but the editing might have taken 12 hours. So I want to make sure that I determine the fact of how much time it's going to take away from my life to do their project.
Right.
Mine is more like an add-on, because you hire production itself, you have to think about how much you're going to pay the actors, the photographer, or whoever else is filming. So usually, if you want to pay for commercial, for some actors, you pay $2,000 for the actor. So I think that it should be higher than, what it says, because some people pay $10K, depending on your reputation and so on. You have to hire actors and editors and so on and so forth.
This is real good. Anybody else? Anybody? Oh, coming back around here to the front again.
Just a little counter to what you're saying. People can't pay for your inexperience. You know what I mean? So that goes to the practice, but just because it's gonna take you 20 hours, if somebody can do the same quality of work in 10 hours, that's what the client will be looking for. So that's just a thought.
All right, this is all good. So with that being said, we have, I'll use this analogy. When you go out and you're going to go buy a car, if I had a Tesla, and I said, hey, I'm going to sell you this Tesla for $200, what's going to go through your head? That right there. What's wrong with it? That don't sound right. As a client to a car salesman, I'm thinking to myself like, nah, you got something up your sleeve. You are that Tesla. What you're going to give them is that Tesla. It has to have that value because people want to pay.
Or people will look at your work and they'll look at that car and they know the value of it. And they'll take advantage of you because you don't know the value of it.
Remember how you were saying that this guy goes with his friend? The guy, that was his friends, the couple. And so what kind of scenario is it if you go to someone, they come to you or whatever, and they're asking you to do something for them like this, and then they say, oh, well, can we bargain because I already got actors? I mean, is it room to play with it? Like, okay, this price is for this because you don't have the actors. You do. If you don't, then this price is for that. I mean, is that make you look bad because you're willing to
negotiate?
negotiate? Yes.
In my opinion, I would say no. Because and that's totally up to you and your relationship that you have with that particular client.
And so the first question that you ask a client is,
What's your budget? What's your budget? What's your budget?
and so there's a video out with this guy like, what's your budget? What's your budget? And he's like, and I want to do this, and I want to have big explosions, and he's like, what's your budget? What's your budget? And so the whatever number they give you, you have to be willing to either say yes, okay, or let's negotiate, or he's not even in the range. And that would be a waste of your time. So you've got to decide that, and think about all the stuff that it takes.
Right. And then one of the things that I try to do is I don't want to say no. I let them say no. And the way that you make that happen is by your pricing. And you draw that line in the sand and you say, like, this is it. Like, I can't go any lower because of all the reasons you all gave. Actors. You got to put the value out there, kind of like with the car. They're talking about all the amenities and the specialties and all. Like this car got these type of brakes. It has power lock windows. It has this, that, or whatever. And for some people, they're like, yes, I'll go with that. Other people are like, man, I'd rather have the manual. Like y'all got one of these still? Y'all still sell these with windows? Most people are not. That stuff is been manufactured out, and that's how you also got to be with your pricing. Really, almost every year. Price is going for everything else, right? Why not for yourself? And it should be expected. Clients should know, like last year's prices was last year. It's up 10% this year, or it's up 20% this year. Oh, the video that I did for you the first time, oh, that was because, I just got my start. As Ariel was saying here, I don't have that much experience. Well, over time, in 6 months, you should level up to the point to where if that same client came back and let's say that you did it for $200, you should be able to say, I can do that same video for $1,000. It might be like that. Let's go ahead and do it because you did such a good job. And or you have a nice body of work now that's followed afterwards. Because you can now tell them, which is, oh my gosh, we have like a business course right now. But like, you never ever want to give your ideas away. You never want to sit down and then just start spilling your guts to a client. I got this idea, or we can do this, because they will pull on you for hours. And even that hour is worth your time. That's value. Those ideas you put out there, dollars. I tell you, we had that happen to us. We sat down with I ain't gonna say who. We sat down with the client, and this client was just pulling. And so we had this idea, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, man, I don't really want to talk. Like, I just want to shut up. Like, this guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I said a little too much. We didn't wind up getting the deal. Next thing you know, I mean, because it was quiet for a second, this video pops up. We didn't do it. It was like almost tit for tat our pitch. And I was like, lesson learned. Again. Do not, and I repeat, do not give your ideas away. If anything, what you do is you tell the client to go to your website or go to wherever your online video content is held. Same thing for actors too, because there's some people here that are not video producers. You got some people here who are actors. You know, you again want to not give them, you know, everything away right then and there. You want to tell them, say, hey, look at what I've done for other people. And if you like what you see, if we can, you know, we can continue, we can move forward in this conversation after we develop a contract and after you say that you decide you want to go with it. But keep your pitch super vague, super light. You know, I don't know where I was going with that. Like that was a quick. I don't think that was a word for somebody. I don't know.
A word. A word.
Yes, I'm gonna get this young lady right here.
At the same time, you have to think like once you finish your work with your client, they might be able to refer you to other people who want to pay more.
Yeah. Yes, I had someone tell me that before as well. They were saying that the person that you're dealing with, they got friends, and people who got dollars in the same bracket, they normally hang out with one another, and they talk amongst each other. So it's like you don't really catch poor people hanging out with billionaires. If ever. Billionaires hang out with billionaires, billionaires hang out with millionaires, and so on and so on and so on. And I equate that to going fishing in certain pools.
Like, level up, your pool of friends. You know, come to something like this, and meet other, you know, filmmakers. Whereas you may be just sitting over here with your friends, and maybe they're just, you know, not really into what you're into. You know, they're not really into filmmaking, and you're not really getting fed, or you're not really, you know, being able to have that exchange of creativity. And, you know, just think about where you want to be and go to where some of those people are when you can. And show yourself friendly. Make friends, you know?
And on this note of hers talking about show yourself friendly, I'll go ahead and rag on myself for a second. She's always getting on me about the way that I dress. She's like, V, you need to get a button up on, you need to get some slacks, get some nice shoes, whatever, because that will look really nice on you. Not because I look good, but because it's like you want to make people look at you a certain type of way. If you dress like a business person, they're gonna be like, oh, this person is business. I can't be going in there dressed like this per se, especially if I ain't got. Right.
When people get their perspective of you is how they see you, how you present yourself to the world. How are you showing up? Do you show up looking like a winner, looking like somebody that I want to do business with? Or do you show up and I'm like, now that person over there, they look like, and that's just, they look like business. They look like they know their business. And that's just how we are. That's just the nature of human beings. We see and we assess and we make judgments. That is the world. That's all.
Exactly. Right. You have to look the part. Okay.
You can have your style. Yeah, look, I'm trying to like clean it up, right? You can have your style, but make sure that your style is saying something. It's crisp, it's clean. You could be casual, or you could be dressed to the nines, however you want to present yourself, but make sure that number one, it comes from within. You gotta believe in who you are. And then number two, it'll show on the outside. Just make sure.
Keep digging.
Right. Because, and again, it is optional. You got to use wisdom. I'll say that because you have people out there such as Steve Jobs, who was notorious for wearing jeans and a turtleneck, and he would come into. But yes. Right. So don't come in looking like a bum.
That's how you do that. You put your jeans on, you put a nice little turtleneck, then you have your little piece. As a man, you got your little watch, and you might have some nice shoes, and people can see. Oh, okay.
I'm going to discuss that later.
Right.
Okay. But
I was gonna say, as far as Steve Jobs goes, he hung around other people that dress like that too. So, when you start hanging around billionaires and people who have money like that, they don't really spend a lot of money on clothes, but it's just the fact we've leveled up to the point to where we can do that now. We gotta get to the level we need.
exactly. And the thing is, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? And again, you can have it. They spend money on certain things. It might not, my jeans might be Levi's and my top might be Walmart. You know what I'm saying? But I might have on this piece that you can't afford.
Or $1 million NFT.
Come on. And then my car out here is something that okay? So you do have to look at that circle and look at what they're doing. Study, and hey, I'm just saying.
Those are some good points.
Yes.
I was going to say, one thing that's big inside this industry is it's like a business. Even with acting and producing, it's like a business. So you do want to have that good first impression. Also, what's big is understanding that you also are working too. Like this is not just like for fun. This is like an actual job. So you really gotta look at your value of work. Like V was saying, you gotta really know your value because if not, you could be getting clients they don't know what they want. They're not organized, they don't have a structure. So you're doing all this for them. You're doing structure, a time frame, a vision board. You got actors that got experience. If you want actors that's that do work, you want them to come on your project, that's gonna cost money. So you can't be saying, I'm doing this project for $1,500 because I know me, all I want is $1,500. Like I gotta do scripts and monologues. I want to get paid. So it's like you wanna be serious with your project. Know that what you're doing it has a message, your storytelling. It's bigger than you, so don't be scared to ask for the budget because it's something that's gonna last forever. Like people can watch this nonstop for the rest of their life. And just going back to the last question, like I said, you want to dress occasionally. You want to have different outfits. Of course, you got different crowds and audiences, so you don't know who your person might be. Because a lot of directors and people that they dress now like Steve Jobs, they can chill, but you got some that's business minded. And they want to see where your head is because they might want to bring you on to a franchise, whatever. So you want to really just have different types of clothes so you can fit different audiences and crowds. Because it's a big industry, but it's a lot of different crowds. Everybody got different personalities, so you want to make sure you fit that style. But also knowing your work as well, whether you're actor, director, photographer, videographer, you gotta know your work because they always got work for you. But if you don't know what you want, they ain't gonna know what they want for you either. So you want to have that up front, that way they can know how to use you effectively.
Great point. And then also too, when it comes to taking on jobs that you feel are not honoring your value, you wind up filling your calendar up with a bunch of small projects that's keeping you away from the big one. Think about that. Your hands is full, too full to take this really big blessing because your hands is full with all this little small stuff that you're scared to let go. And you feel like, I gotta always keep running. You don't have to always keep running. Again, like I said from the beginning, I'm not afraid of the no at all. I'll put my price out there, and if you put a big enough price out there, that gives you enough space and time to wait for the next big yes to come along. Instead of filling up your days and your hours and your weeks with a bunch of small yeses and you're scrambling for the next small yes. It doesn't make sense. You wind up having headaches, stress, worry, and you wind up hating what you were created to do. If you find yourself in those types of spaces, I recommend to challenge yourself to go through like a challenge of 9 no's to get to the 1 yes instead of having 9 yeses. And then that one big no that could have been a yes, you can't take one because you're too full. I had to go through that. I had to realize that I can't do a flyer for $50 because I'm a graphic designer as well. I was doing crazy prices, like crazy low prices. And my heart breaks when I see like people within my community who are like, hey, I got a sale going on, 3 of these for $100. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just be want to pull up to the side and say, your value, babe, you gotta level it up. And I understand that, I get it. Sometimes it can be pressing, it can be really hard, and you feel like I just need something just for right now. I get it, but don't stay there. Do whatever it takes to be able to get out of that pool. Because you're in a pool. You're trying to fish for a whale in a fishbowl. You gotta get out there in the ocean. You gotta go deep out there. And you can't go out there with little weak bait. You gotta go out there with something that's gonna make people want to bite. So make sure that you are well prepared and look at, again, your calendar and then look at your value. I can't stress that enough. I almost feel like we should talk about self-value today because, I mean, that's gonna really help propel you through the rest of this year, through 2022. Calendaring, yeah, that's good and everything, but your value, that's even more important.
But okay, so I used to live in California, and for a pastime, I used to make greeting cards, anything you wanted. And I worked at this company where everybody knew each other. So what you're saying is resonating with me, because when I first started off, it was like $5. Like I was like, make a card for $5. And I went somewhere in business, and this Caucasian lady said, oh, this is a nice card. She said, $10. I said, oh no, because I only charge $5. She said, they don't pay. So I changed my, price to $10. They said, I'm getting $10. And it kept going up. People were taking interest in what I was doing, and pretty soon it was like, believe it or not, guys, a regular card, $50. Because someone who had money, and their son said, Mom, she's making these cards for $50. She's okay, I'll take 2. I mean, I was floored. Tipping me and all this. All from just, So I'm saying, what you're saying is really resonating with me because I didn't know my worth at all.
Full of people that you're, like you said, you're fishing in, those $5 clients, they're probably not going to pay $50 for a card. But there are people who will. And you've got to go to them. Now our audience is them instead of these people.
Because I thought they would pay, like you said, 1 year, things change and the price go up. This is not going to matter like a few months. Like, material costs is like, did you pay 15? Yeah. Did you pay 20? Yeah. Did you pay? They just kept saying yes. And I was like, what? So, yes, absolutely.
So I have a question of whether or not you've been in the production stage and you've had to we like go back to the budget and kind of say like, okay, this is gonna cost a little bit more than what we expected, or the person who you're working with is like, wait a minute, now I want this, and now, so have you ever had to, like, how do you handle that situation, if you've ever had that situation?
Great question, great question.
So, yeah, I know we've been tapping into commercial, commercial work, but let's have that as well. Do you wanna show super and then talk about that?
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay.
So you
Well, I
see,
mean,
yeah,
it's not what that.
yes, yeah. So yes, we've had various times, almost every time, you know, when you're going through the production and an idea comes along and you feel like I want to add on, or you sold yourself short, and you're like, dang, I really need this, and it's not there. Don't be afraid to go back to the client and explain to them, being transparent. Like that's the best thing you can do. Is not to try to hide, because you never know. What you don't want to do is go in and say like, man, it's going to cost an extra $100. I just go into my own pocket first, and I'll go ahead and I'll pull through it and I'll make it work. Don't do that. You can have that in your back pocket if things are get worse. But what you want to do is go to the client and you sit down and say, hey, this is where we are right now. What we have decided on the contract. It says it's going to cost, and I'm just going bulk right now. It's going to be $100 for this whole, piece. In all actuality, in order for us to cross this finish line, it's going to take us an extra $20. Is that something that you have within your budget? They're going to either say yes, or they're going to say no. If they say yes, great. If they say no, then you have to say, well, is it okay for us to renegotiate what the outcome is going to look like? Because right now, we just can't pull it off with what we have. And then you just start that conversation. And
let's just say that in order to not have that happen at all, because we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have to go back to a client and say, we need to do this. So pad.
What she means by pad means like you need to add some more money to that budget. So whatever you think, right, it does. Yep. Right. Right.
And then they'll be like, well, that's what you agreed on. You agreed on these terms. This is what you said you're going to give me for this price. This is what I want. And they'll go up and they're ready to say that.
Right.
So we want that.
Right.
One way to look at that and using $100 example again, once you really establish your budget and everything seems to be tight, the last thing you probably want to do is provide a contingency fee, right?
Yes.
That's what they call it.
That's
That's another word for what you're saying. That's an official building term, contingency fee. So in the $100 example, if you did 20%, who's a mathematician? The budget would be $120. And you would let the client know that, things are unexpected, things always pop up. And if you don't need this, this way you're protected. And then you can really make points with the client if you keep it under the budget. But certainly, you never, if you do under the budget, that's not anything you gotta talk to the client about. Right. Usually, we just made it. But otherwise, you have this built-in contingency fee. You're going to know you're going to have to use it probably before you really, run into trouble. Then the client understands. So that's one way we do it.
That's great. Good. All right, we have a little moment. We're trying to get things set so we can go into the next video that we're going to show. And then we're going to finish off with just talking about Alicia Redman's latest piece that is going to be releasing soon, that is called Willows. And she's going to share with us what that planning procedure looked like, because it was a very beautiful start to finish, in my opinion, production. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and watch a film that I had produced back in August that's called Super Just Super. And we can go ahead and watch that now. And then I'll talk a little bit about the process, planning process that I went through with that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I am starting to feel as if you really don't love me.
What do you mean? Of course I love you. Can we?
Only for what I can do for you. Stuff like this.
No, babe. You know I love you. Now can we please just...
Luke, if you love me, you would have listened to me and not got caught up with these idiots.
I know. I know.
How do you know, huh? How am I supposed to know that you love me?
I tell you whenever I see you.
And how often is that?
I can't think about that right now, baby. Can we please just move on?
Are you ashamed of me? Do you not want to be seen with me in public? Not to mention, you barely call me.
Look, until we call it, babe, okay? Just do a bad connection.
Look, I be calling you, and you barely pick up. And when you answer, you keep it short with me, as if you're busy. And then texting, I don't even get a response.
Until we call it, and until we text, okay? It must be a bad connection or something. Wait, are you believe it?
What? Boy, let's just catch up. You know I don't believe. You called me in the middle of my lunch. Besides, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. You know what? Give me your phone.
What?
Give me your phone.
What?
Give it to me. Oh, so it's like that?
Wait. Here. Here, my finger.
Why is she still in your phone? And you have called her 5 times already?
It's not what it looks like, okay? Right here. Alright. It is what it looks like. It's not serious. You're just talking, okay? Just talking.
How do you think this makes me feel? Huh?
I guess like I'm feeling right now. Baby, I promise you, if you help me out, if you help me one more time, I promise you. I promise you. I'm hurting right now.
I'm hurt right now. I can't believe you would go behind my back and still do this. After all I have done and still do.
Okay, right. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Can we please just move on? Please. Can we fix this? Please. Please.
Delete her.
Done. Ned, I love you, baby. I love you. I promise you. Nobody else. Nobody else. Always. And everybody. You're the only one in my heart. The only one.
Super. Just super.
So, thank you. That was super, just super. And just quickly, the process that I went through that was, of course, the script writing, coming up with the idea. That was one of the first stages. And after coming up with that, while I was writing it, that I already kind of had people in mind. I was already kind of like writing with, characters, people that I was like, you know what, I want them to play this because I think they would fit that role. After that, the costume, got with a costume designer, Alicia Lee, and she was gracious enough to be like, I'm all in, like whatever you need, like, so we went over to her house and she was doing all the measurements and stuff like that. And we're going to release a behind the scenes of that pretty soon, hopefully next week, that kind of shares that whole journey. And then we did some acting here, where we were just, acting out with the fighting scene. We did the choreography like right here on the stage. Like we was right here, we was right here to the floor. We was doing that all ahead because I understood that people's time is precious and you don't want to go on set and not be prepared. So then that goes back to having table reads. So you want to make sure that you're doing all of this in preparation. Again, all this stuff was like put to a calendar. I just did it was like, just off at the whim, like, what, I think it'll be a good day to do some table reading. No, people have lives, and you have to give them enough time to be able to prepare. So it took roughly about 2 months of preparation before we even started filming this. And putting out the call, again, going out to my own personal pool. I was putting a call out on Facebook. I said, hey, I need some people who can do action. People who want to do some fight scene. People was like, oh, me, I'm in. And I would ask, okay, well, have you done anything before? Send me your reel. You always want to vet people whenever you can, because you don't want to say yes to any and everybody. I mean, it's cool for some people to be like, I can take this moment and teach you, but that's, again, your own personal preference. For me, because time is sensitive, I was like, I need people who've done this before, So, the day that we were shooting, we had a full team of about maybe 15, 20 of us that were out there in Northside. We were filming in the back alley. Very beautiful day. It was a full day of shooting. We had to have catering. We had to have what they call a crafty table. They shake this head like, yes, you gotta have coffee, you gotta have crafty. If you don't have those things, people.
So let's talk about like, what was your budget?
Yeah. Okay.
So, filmmaking might be a little bit different.
Yes. Okay. So the budget. I would say this. This is a secret. It's not even a secret, but this is something that I recommend doing. If you can to save money, do it yourself. Learn how to do it. Because trying to find an editor, that could be expensive unless you got an editor buddy. You got somebody out there who's like, you know what, I'm down with the cause. Or I can do it at a rate that's easy for you to achieve, because let's face it, I assume that ain't nobody here like, mega rich like Tyler Perry making movies yet, but we're all in this together. So like, I can't come to Alicia and be like, came to me and say, hey, I need you to edit my video. And I'm like, I'm a flat 5,000. That's our whole budget. And some. So it's like, if you don't have anybody that you can find, then it's like, try to teach yourself, because like it will save you money. It definitely will.
So okay. So let's talk about okay. So talk about the process of, number one, we know that script is king. If you don't have a script, you don't have anything, right? Tell us about the script writing process, and did you like, what was that like for you? I could say, I recommend you get people to look at your script, you get people to see, see if they understand it, but let's talk about that process.
So having an idea is great. For me, I know how to write a script thanks to Alicia. She taught me how to write a script about 3 years ago. Formatting, because I can write dialogue, I just didn't have any idea how to write a script. So if you don't know how, find someone that can teach you or go to YouTube because the information is out there. And then for myself, writing dialogue, going through a couple of drafts, and then sending it off to another person to have eyes to look at it and ask them questions like, what do you think? And find somebody who's going to be honest. That can be hard, that can be difficult because sometimes people can, that are your friends and family, they don't want to hurt your feelings. They want to be like, oh, that's so great. Yeah, it's like a baby. Like, all babies are beautiful, right? Thank you for being honest. This person said, no, all babies are not. But your scripts, I'm talking about scripts, people. I'm not talking about real life babies. I'm saying that your scripts sometimes need a little bit of work. And you need somebody that's going to tell you and be honest with you and say, hey, like that first act didn't work and the third act is completely missing. So that's what it was for myself. I don't know that I shared the script with you before or not. But yeah, like I lean on her heavily. And the reason why I do this, note to male script writers, if you have relationships in your scripts, get a woman's perspective, please. Please, and vice versa. Like don't assume that you understand the opposite sex. And you think that, a woman would talk like this. Like, I don't know how a woman would talk or how a woman how to react. I can initially put it on paper, but that's not canon. Like she may tell me like we don't talk that way. And we see that happen all the time when it comes to a person who is white writing black dialogue. And we looking at this like, we don't talk like that. Like, obviously somebody wrote the lyrics or wrote those words, and the person who was acting didn't stop them and say, hey, you don't talk like that.
Okay, so what was the casting process like? And crew?
So the casting, as I stated before, when I'm writing, I kind of already have people in mind out of the pool of friends that I have. And I even have some people that I don't even know that will reach out to me and say, hey, I would like to work with you one day. And I ask, I'm like, okay, well, have you done anything before? Can I see your reel? And then I say, you know what, if something comes up, I would love to work with you. And I keep them in mind. So I'm always trying to grow my network. And then I sometimes purposefully will, even if I don't have anything for a particular idea and someone who really wants to work with, that I want to work with, I'll be like, I'm going to write this with them in mind specifically, and I'll reach back out and I'll say, hey, I got something.
So, okay, and so let's be realistic. So filmmaking and doing something commercial for a client is very different, I think, especially, just within our community. Some filmmakers, are on you've got some who we personally know have had the opportunity to really get like a great budget, like a large budget, and they're making their features. When it comes to shorts, it may not always be like that. And we do, have to kind of rely on, is this a good project for me? Do I know the relationship? Relationship is everything. Do I know this person? Am I in a relationship with this person and I want to just work with them? And you don't have to pay me. You don't have to, that kind of thing. So we have to be realistic in that as well. Sometimes we don't. As the filmmaker part of this, we don't always have the big budget that, So what was that like? Like, did you rely on relationships? Did you rely on, tell us about that.
So I rely heavily on the value of community. Like, you got monetary value and you got friendship value. We have people who do favors for nothing in return. We got some people who do favors and says, hey, let's barter. So within the B3C community, they came through. These people are hungry. They want to do something. So I told them, I was like, this is all coming out of my pocket. I'm not making no money off of this. But I need help. Are you willing to help me out? And these are people that I've asked that I've helped out. You know, there's these same people would be like, hey, D, you come with all your equipment and shoot X, Y, Z. And I'm like, I'm there. Because I have that relationship. That relationship value, if I was to put $1 to that, it's like $5,000 for that ask. Now, had it been somebody else, it's like, yeah, you gotta pay me for that. But there's so much value and power when you have community. You can look at the people around in this room. I mean, the monetary value in here is well into the 6 figures. We all have that type of value to bring to the table to be able to pull something off. So that's what it was for me to be able to get my cast and my crew. And the only thing that I was, you know, some people say, hey, just speak. And that's what I did. You know, I was like, let me go order some Jimmy John's. I paid $100. I'm giving y'all a hit right now. For 20 people, you can feed. Yeah, for $100, go to Jimmy John's. Make a note of that. Go to Jimmy John's. You can get a lunchbox with sandwich and like a couple other things in there for $5. $5. That's the lunch value. You only get 30 minutes to eat it all, so you ain't got to bring out no casserole, Olive Garden, cheesecake, factory type deal. You don't need that. You just need something to be able to keep people from thinking about hunger pains as they're working for you. You know?
And so what was so that was kind of production. So how long did this take? How long did you shoot? How many days?
I shot in one day, and I think we got it all within 6 hours. And that was all because of like well planning. You know, planning your shots, having a shot list. We rehearsed. I had even a storyboard. You know, storyboard. Do that. Stick figures. It don't matter what it is. Get it on paper so you can visually see it. Don't show up on set and your cinematographer is like, okay, where's the storyboard at? It's like, no, we don't have one. It's like, that's going to be a long day. It's either going to be a long day or it's not going to be as well planned of a day for filming. You know, so if you can storyboard, if you can pre-plan, do that. If you can have table readings, do that. Do it ahead of time. Yes, because of COVID, we have virtual table readings, and those work just as well. It's like a Zoom conference or a Google Duo, do whatever it takes to have those times where you're able to hear it instead of it being the first time you hear each other on set. It's like, that doesn't make sense. It will be really difficult to pull out something great on the day of.
How much equipment did you have? Like what kind of equipment did you have on set? And like what did this take to shoot?
In short, I had 2 cameras on set.
So did that contribute to the time?
Yes. Yes. We were in some of the scenes we were doing 2 camera A and B shoot. Another term for that is called Russian box style shooting, where you have multiple cameras set up in different areas, and then they're like action, and everybody's focused on your certain scene. Then that way, when it gets to the cutting floor, you know, you're able to get continuity. And on top of that, you get all that within 1 take or 2 takes. But you're not sitting there with 1 camera saying, okay, now we're going to run this and do it again. Because we got to get over the shoulder. And we got to do the over the shoulder again. It's like, no, if you can afford to, or get somebody to help you out, get 2 cameras. If you're going to do over the shoulder, why not have 2 cameras to do over the shoulder if you got that 1 great take? Yeah. We got DP in the back there. He's over there giving hand motions like, like the overs, OTS, over the shoulder terminology, stuff like that. Nick Sutton.
Yeah, Nick Sutton. He was one of our honorees at the Black Cincinnati Cinema Awards for his longevity in film and TV. So you would say, okay, so that contributed to the time factor. Again, you're making time your friend. This is how you can, these are ways, that's a way that you can make time your friend. And what about sound and audio?
So with sound and audio, we had a boom, mic, and then we also had lavalier mics. So do whatever you can to try to prepare for that as far as understanding like your lenses. This is getting all technical. I don't want to get too technical for too long, but understanding your lenses, like your wide angles. It's like if it's wide, you can't be in there with a with the boom unless you're on sticks. And if you want to go the extra mile of shooting a clean plate, then you can erase that out and post edit. Then you can do all that type of stuff. you don't understand what I'm talking about, you can Google it. It's there. It's movie magic. That was my approach when it came to audio.
And then, post-production. What was post-production like for you? He is an editor. He is the great VFX. Is it VFX? Okay. I get them confused.
Yeah. So in post-production, after I had everything filmed, just getting all of my shots lined up with the audio, and then kind of going through and roughly put together a rough draft of the first take, just so I can get a feel of it. And then I just start to tighten things up, moving things around as far as takes, switching them out. But then after that, moving to your VFX, which is your video effects. Once I added all that in, and then I did my sound last, and then the final export. That was it. That's just the short.
How long was that?
That process took about a week. It took about a week's worth of work. This film was 534, but as far as hours that I spent in post-production was about at least 30. At least 30 hours. And it wasn't straight. This was just like whenever I had time in between client work.
And I'm sorry, so like the shot where the guy falls out of the sky.
Yeah.
That was green screen.
Yeah.
You did, and did you do that same day?
Yeah.
You shot all that same day too?
Yeah. Yes.
Not the audio.
Yes, sir.
When it first came on, there was a period of scenes I heard this roar, and I thought it was, you have the video effects with the, like explosions and so forth. But then, on a lot of the audio, it was, I guess I could describe it as a very dull roar. And at first I thought that was intended, but I think as it went along, I kept hearing that roar, which was, I guess, the background sound. Is that what that was? I mean,
yes, that was that was this is what they call room tone. That was ambience. So I found that. Okay, here's the thing. When it came to the audio on that day, I didn't use any of the audio. I did ADR.
Right.
So that's basically just replacing the audio that was taken there by just going after everything was what they call picture lock. Was I'm not going to move anything else around. I took that video, got with the actress, and I said, watch the video and just pretend it's like TikTok and just mouth and say exactly what's on the screen to get it that clean. And then I did the same thing with the gentleman, sat down with him, he watched the video, he said his lines, we did each line 3 different times to make sure that one of them fell perfectly. And then that process, again, that's more prep, that's more pre-planning. It's like if I'm doing outside, if there's construction happening down the street, I can't stop them from doing that. If it's a police siren or an accident, I can't stop them. Production must continue. You must move on. So you've already been taking mental note. I gotta do ADR. I have to do ADR. Willows. We would shoot on the street, outside, and we have muscle cars. Muscle cars. Driving down the street, I'm thinking of myself like,
I had a big budget, a big production budget, I could have,
Put barriers on the street, and we're filming right now. You can't come through here, except for the old cars that were from 1955 or whatever, but yeah, I didn't have that, so we have to go in and do ADR.
yeah, yes.
So I have a dumb question.
Is that another question?
I've never directed a series film before, but I'm just wondering, when you get ready to go into this, doing a film for someone or even yourself, is there one person that figures out how much to, well, I'm not trying to say, you gotta have like rights, whatever. How much you're gonna need, because let's just say you don't have any equipment, you gotta go borrow it, or you gotta go rent it, or whatever the things that you're gonna need technically. Is there one person who focuses on that, or is that the director or the producer's job?
That is the producer's job. The producer is the one who is like the center of all. A lot of people are like, oh, it's the director. The director directs. Like that's an actual lane. Like the director should not be gaffing or setting up lights. The director should not be doing that. Of course, if you have a skeleton crew and you have that skill and ability, you wear many hats. As a director, you would be setting the lights, you would be doing all types of things like that. But typically, if you have a big budget and you want to have a smooth production day, you have a producer who is like, okay, I'm looking over the books and I'm going like line outlines, like, line to line, like the director does this, and they're gonna cost this much. Location scout, wardrobe, makeup, everything that you can think of. Typically, the producer is in charge of that. Did you have something that you want to add on that?
I was going to piggyback on what you said. It's not only the producer job, and Bernard mentioned it, it's the line producer.
Yes.
That's when it comes to line items. So it's okay if it's camera departments, okay. The director of photography, they take care of it. This is okay. What cameras do we need? What's the lens? All the other accessories, X, Y, Z. Same thing when it comes to different departments specifically. So within those heads of departments, the line producer gets with the heads of those departments. It breaks down everything. Okay, what do you need? What are the costs, line items for this? And it just trickles down from there.
So the line producer is not the same as the.
Producer, no.
No. And then what about the executive producer?
Executive producer, that's above the line. That's your money.
Yep.
That's your money.
So that's a different person.
Yeah, that's a whole other aspect of it.
Generally.
Yeah. On a larger level, that's how that breaks down.
Okay, but smaller, they're wearing different hats.
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Right. Right. Like Bernard on this one was director, producer, what else?
A lot of stuff.
VFX.
And again, like I said before, like that comes from just having a love for this industry. But secondly, this is my mentality. I have a brain and I got functioning limbs. If I can see somebody else doing it, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try it. I'm at least try it so I can at least know how it works. Because in the future, though I don't want to be doing it, if the ball drops in that area, at least I can feel it. At least it's almost kind of like having a coach or your point guard on the basketball court. They know everybody's position. They may not know how to do it as well, but that's the reason why they're up front and they have the ball, because they're looking out to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the coach off to the side is almost like the line producer, who's just making sure, like, okay, I got these people on the bench over here, and I got these people that's out there on the floor doing X, Y, and Z. And I can just switch, and I can make these moves to be able to make sure that we're executing properly. It's the exact same thing when it comes to filmmaking. You just want to make sure that you understand what it is that you want to do, and just give it your all. Learn as much as you can about it. All right. I think we want to try to wrap up here in about 10 minutes here. Yes, we're going to wrap up with Willows. Talk a little bit about Willows.
I'm not sure if this is the time for this particular question, but when it comes to networking, getting involved and stuff like that, if you are literally starting from the bottom, how do you prove yourself without messing up, somebody said, like, how do you push to get those chances and to network properly? And then also on the other side of that, make sure that you don't get taken advantage of because of your willingness and hunger to do anything, because you want to get into that space.
Well, you're doing it now. Yeah. You're doing it right now.
Yeah.
And like even within our group, we have. Have y'all seen Game Night? Okay, we came together and as B3C Collective, and we did Game Night. We just put something out there in the group that we were looking for scripts. And so that's a good place to start. Like if you say you have a short, hey, I've got a short that I would like to film in May. Put it out there in the group. I mean, it's just a way to get started. Put it out there in the group, besides coming here, coming here and just talking to people. But put it out there in the group and see if anyone responds. Hey, I need a director for a short. I've written a short. Maybe you can add the log line just so we know what it's about. A little one sentence synopsis, basically, so people know what it's about and see if people are interested in doing it. And start there. I mean, I don't know. What do you do? Write, direct, act? What do you do?
I act, and I want to learn about them.
Okay. Do you have a reel? An active reel? Okay. So you can go into the group, or when you're here, talk to whoever's behind the camera here. Hey, I'm trying to get a reel done. I've got 3 monologues that I'd like to, 3 clips that I'd like to put together, and see if somebody will be willing to do that, because if they're just starting out, it's helping their reel as well. So, and then with the writing, put it in the group, see if somebody, is interested in shooting it. Okay, so it's really just putting yourself out there. Putting yourself out there, not being afraid to say, hey, Dee, I've got a short. I'd like you to just take a look at it. Maybe start there even, with people, hey, would you mind reading this short? It's only 3 pages. Can you take a look at it and tell me what you think? That kind of thing. And then, I wanted to direct game night because I saw it and I was like, I like this. Who's directing this? Nobody. Oh, I want to do it. And that's how that came about.
And, speaking of writers, how many writers are in here in the room? Great. I'm glad you guys raised your hand, because there's an opportunity that's knocking. Tonight, there's a meeting here at Union Hall at 5 o'clock for an anthology that is getting ready to happen. We're going to start filming in spring of 2022, this year, with hopes to be able to release this in October. And we're having a writer's session tonight here at Union Hall. Again, it's going to be from 5 to 7 o'clock. And there are 4 different teams. I have a team in particular. Yep. We're talking about ideas that we're trying to pitch for this anthology. So I don't have any writers beside myself for my team. I'm leading a team. I'm leading a team too. And she's leading a team as well. So there's opportunity. John Calhoun, and yes, which are also 2 other B3C members. So come out tonight. You can leave here, go do what you gotta do, but then come back, because we're going to have a wonderful idea think tank to come up with 4 20-minute long videos we're going to compile together, and that's going to be an anthology. So, as Nick said, being here, this is how it happens. Making yourself readily available. Here's another tip that I do. I typically, if I want to try to get in with some pool or circle of people, I find out who the leaders are, and then I ask them, like, hey, you want to go grab some coffee? I want to hear a little bit about what you do. Don't go, well, you can, but it doesn't work as well if you were to go and you were to say, hey, I'm trying to sell myself to you. I do this, I do that, blah, 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 blah. This person's like, okay, that's cool. I get that all the time. But it could be rare that they may get someone who works with them and say, hey, I want to hear about you. Oh, you want to hear about me? Okay, well, let's sit down, let's talk. I'm going to tell you all about myself, because typically at the end of that conversation, once they're done talking, they're going to just ask, what about you? And then it's your time to be able to connect. I've done that a couple of times, and have worked with some great people who own business graphic design firms downtown. By just simply asking, hey, can we go grab some coffee? And then from that conversation, they called me up because they remember. It was like, this guy was nice, he was cool, he took me out for coffee, and he was like, I got a job, and you kind of came to my mind. Are you interested in making, some candies real quick? Of course, yes. Let's make that happen. Do the same thing within this group. Some people may be like, Alicia, you want to go grab something to eat real quick at Panera Bread? She'd be like, yes, I want to go to Panera Bread. And then next thing you know, you're building those relationships. And over time, next thing you know, you can be like, hey V, I need an extra camera. Can you come and shoot? I got you.
Relationships, just like with anything else, it's with any business, it's all about relationship. And you know, game night, you saw, well, Alicia Lee is in game night, right? Alicia Lee did your costume and your makeup.
Yeah, costume makeup.
She was in my production of Willows.
Right.
Like, she makes herself available, number one, and she's consistently consistent. And she's talented.
And add on to that, is that we, in turn, we give back to her. Because now she's tapping into me saying, hey, V, I got this idea, I got 12 pages. Can you come and shoot it and edit it for me? Yes. I don't mind because we family, we work together.
Right.
We in this.
Yeah. Graphic design. I'm like, yeah, sure. You know,
Right.
and there's no,
We're not charging each other for this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, because we recognize that we're all coming up together. You know. Now, somebody on the outside, you
don't
gotta,
get y'all.
yeah, you gotta come with your wallets because I'm gonna bring you the good services.
So, are you saying that it's similar to, in some instances, people do a thing called bartering?
Yeah.
So you say it's scam, you just know the word for it, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's barred in a very organic way. You know, it's like you don't sit down and do contracts and say like, okay, well, I remember you gave me 20 hours and we did this. No, like, we got time for that. We got time for that. We out here trying to make movies. We out here trying to make a difference. We're trying to tell stories. We're trying to make business. Because I'll even say this: when I get a job, a painting job, guess who I'm calling up? I'm not calling nobody outside of B3C to come get paid with me. These people work with me. These people have dealt with my equipment, have moved my crates and stuff, and have wheeled my wagon around. So it's like if P&G called me up and say, hey, we got a budget of $6K. I'm like, okay, great, that $6K is for me. I'm immediately asking, do you guys have a budget for an assistant? Oh yeah, we got a budget for an assistant, about $1,200, is that fine? Sure. I'm calling up some of the people that I have in B3C, and sometimes it can be just 2 people, and each person will get $600 to work with me for 1 day. Off of a relationship that started with bartering. Nick, matter of fact, this past weekend, called me up. Can I disclose who it is?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so Food Network contacted Nick because they needed to do some filming out in Fairfield, and they got a nice budget. He calls me up and says, "Hey, V, you want to be on set with me for Food Network? We got this thing for Halloween movies." I'm like, say no more. I'm there, and then it went down. Like this past week, we killed it. We crushed it. Opportunities. And now these people in LA know about me because of Nick. Because of this.
Relationships,
man, that's value right here. Like being here today has already showed me in my eyes, the people that I see here, I'm like, these people are for real. So I can rely on these people. If I'm gonna do something, I can call on you. I feel like I can call on you. And I want you guys to feel the same way about me. This is not just a one-way street. This is 2-way. However, I can help you out. If you feel like, man, I'm short on the audio, or lavalier mic, like my brother right here, who just walked in, how you doing? That's good. He may feel like, you know what, man, like, dang, I need a Zoom, which is an external recorder. I need a Zoom. I think V got a Zoom. V, you got a Zoom? Yeah. You using it Saturday? No. Can I use it? Yep, come pick it up. Done. Didn't cost him a dime. Just because he's here. That's it. And that relationship that we begin to build and just continue on. That's how Hollywood does it. They do it all the time. These people, these big paid time Hollywood actors, they do each other's favors on a big level. You want to be in my film? They skip past all the red tape, all the emails, all the agents. They can have a direct phone line call and be like, I don't know who's popular, Jason Momoa. Yo, Jason. Hey, can you do a cameo? Say no more, I'm there. I'm there, brother. You jump on his plane and clear schedule out and he'd be there on set. And then you thinking to yourself like,
man, it must have cost like 20 or 60K for him to be in a, it cost nothing. It's the value of the friendship that these people have amongst each other. And we have that here. And we just got to continue to keep growing together, leveling up, leveling up. Who knows, 10 years from now, we can all be on that level to where people are looking at Cincinnati like that. Cincinnati is the spot. Tell us about your history. Oh yeah, we all came up together. Like B3C, we've been having meetings. This doesn't happen overnight. It starts now. That's what time it is. It's time to go. It's a benediction. All right, so I we can go on and on and on. It's 105. But does anybody else have anything that they want to say? Yep. Okay, software that I use is Premiere Pro and After Effects, both Adobe software products. And there's plenty of tutorials out there from beginners to experts. Now on YouTube, you also pay classes if you like. Any other questions? Any other comments? We're going to play. Yes.
So I have no idea why God has me here. I'm here with my sister. I know you, and I have no clue what you're talking about or what you're talking about. So I'm flowing to see what my purpose is. It may just be to keep a warm seat. But it's so hey everybody, this is cool. This is pretty awesome.
Still coffee?
I made coffee. I helped clean. Oh, well, thank you, Lord. So now I know. Yeah.
I think you're here because for your business.
Well, I have, because I do aesthetics, I do facials and things. And taking the notes, the leveling up, everything, the communication. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm taking notes and I have no idea about filmmaking and Zoom thing and any of that. So you guys, good luck, and I'm in the community.
It's not that we part-time, it's not our business, we just clean the salon, and then somebody else may say, hey, baby, can you and your sister clean my area? And we're like, how much you gonna charge? I don't know, 40, 50, I don't know, 60, 75. We have gone up, because there's a lot of folks, growth to be a little messy.
But we never go for our work.
That's right. Go for your word. Go for your word. Know your word. We want to see a little bit of Willows. You guys have like 5 minutes or 5 minutes? Okay, yeah. Let's watch a real quick clip of Willows. This is coming out soon. Production by Alicia. Oh, look like the video. There we go. Go.
So this is a short that we filmed.
It was the very beginning of October.
The beginning of October. And what's happening with it now is it's been edited pretty much, but it's being color graded. And so there's a whole process and a whole time to that. So what you see here isn't going to be the color, but it's the color we'll see.
Sister, man, you sure do look good tonight, didn't you? I bet she does a little thing for you. Sam Brown's got a little thing for every time. Mr. Howard, I know your name, Johnny. You know that's the best thing I've had. I think Sam should charge a little more for that. Miss Terry always said if it's good supply, the cost of supply.
What did you mean by that?
Well, he got better than barbecue. I mean, I got eyes all over this town and stuff. And I was no fault. You could have treated my little sister right. James could not treat me any better. You going up to bed. I'm going to bed. We'll see you in the morning.
See you at home. So this project, I did have a little bit of a budget because I decided to do an Indiegogo campaign. And so we raised, my goal was to raise 5,000. That's what I created the budget at, and that was padding it. But we made about, I think we got about 2,500 for it. And so, but that pretty much took care of everything. I mean, there may have been a little bit that came out of my pocket, but I didn't mind because I believe in the project. So, and I believe in the people who, who helped with it. Bernard, he talked about bringing his equipment. Most of the equipment that we use belonged to him. And can you imagine how much I saved? So even though I did, try to give everybody something, because that was my goal, I really want to be able to pay people something. And I believe that God is going to honor my desire, and bless me with larger budgets. Amen. But I do think that that's important, and it's a way. It is look at Indiegogo, look at Kickstarter to raise money for your project. Do a short. Like I would love to see this as a series, actually, like a limited series. Do a short, and then you got something. You got a concept to send. To do a network or to send to a producer and say, hey, would you be interested? So, it was a 2-day shoot, 12 pages, and I've been thinking I would have done 3 days. Okay, so like average, really, and Nick, you can help us here and correct us here. But average shooting, like number of pages, a comfortable day is like 3 to 4, right? Would you say that?
Depending on budgetary, shoot 12 pages.
I just mean like in a perfect world, how many pages a day would you say is comfortable to shoot? Makes sense, you're not going over 12 hours and,
That's not gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen, is that what you're saying?
No, let's just say, for instance, you're shooting 12 pages. Roughly that would, depending on planning and time of day, it's a whole lot of different variables along this thing. Depending on different variables that.
Yeah, go on, take the stage. You don't get an award for this, everybody.
So I'll start with, it took us 2 days to shoot this. I would have added, I should have added a 3rd day in hindsight. If I would have added that 3rd day, I think I was, hoping for like 8-hour days. I think we ended up at maybe like 10 to 12. which is not bad, but you don't want to run your people down either. Yeah. That's just me personally, but we know things happen.
On average, say if our shooting, say 12 pages, depending on your time frame, you can get that done in padding 3 days. Now, when it comes to hours, it also depends. Okay, we have 8 hours to do this, or in production realms, okay, we're on average you're doing 12 16-hour days plus 2 half-hour lunch breaks. In a perfect world, I'm doing eight-hour days, 12 pages. You can get that done timing wise and depending on setups, how many takes, moving on from one location to the next, or if it's all in one location, travel time. You have to have all that time scheduled within pre-production on, okay, it's going to take us this long to do this, it's going to take us this long to do this, it's going to take us this long to load out X, Y, Z. If everything's in one location, we'll just say one location. You can get everything done within an 8 to 10 hour day if you're on the clock constantly. Yes.
I think you just answered that, but in my mind, you saying that there's more of a trade-off if you do it all in one location. For editing.
It's so much
Less editing.
You got more locations for editing.
Right, that's the main thing. If you get everything done in one location, one-stop shop, it's going to save you time tremendously.
Location, we call it company moves. Company moves.
Your company moves, because you gotta set up, you gotta tear down. Because she had one location in which she will share that story. It's a beautiful story, tear jerker, but it's amazing what you can do with one location with your exterior and interior shots. But I will say also too, the reason why it took long, or she felt that she had it and give it an extra day, is because she was also the director, so she acted and she had to direct. So playback also is a big factor because not only are you doing it just one time, now the director, who is also the actor, okay, play it back. Yes, which is double. Yeah. Yeah, because it's time. Yes.
I think about the fact that I need to see this playback. Let me see this. And really, I just kind of scrubbed through them and was like, okay, well, let's go.
Right.
And let's keep going because we had so much to do. But, that location gave us our intro exterior. Coming to the house. Now we're in a beautiful living room space. Then we move to a dining room space. Then we come into this foyer space. Now we're shooting on the porch space. Like we use everything that we could use. but it came out.
More editing than would be left.
Well, yes and no, but editing is editing. That's a whole different world. But and that's post-production. We're talking about production, the day of shooting. In a perfect world, in that day of shooting, while we're shooting one scene, the next scene is already being blocked. And that's being already kind of set up by your assistant director and director.
And with us as well, we had at least two cameras going in most of the scenes. One scene had 3 cameras going because we were sitting on this tree stump and we had her over the shoulder, my over the shoulder, and we had the 2 shots. So we were able to knock that out, and we were able to leave the equipment, the first night. We were able to, exactly, so we didn't have to pack up everything and move everything. I mean, make time your friend. I am such a proponent of less locations, depending your budget.
The logistics, all of it.
She said story. What's 25 words or less? What's the story?
The story, 2 sisters, 1954, 2 sisters who have been estranged for 7 years, they reunite. And they have to work through their stuff, and ultimately, that's about it.
How long is the whole?
Okay, that's a great question because it's 12 pages, right? But it's going to end up probably about 22 minutes from opening credits to closing credits, maybe even 23 with closing credits. So that's just 12 pages.
And you guys did all of that in 3 days?
We 2 days. We shot it in 2 days, yeah.
Right.
We shot it in 2 days, so then we're in the end of the post-production process.
And also too, I know I'm dragging on. I feel like I'm long-winded picture.
I can talk about it real long.
I'm not trying to hold you long.
You're free to leave.
let them go. Like, don't hold anybody hostage, but get their money, get the offer as they leave. But no, in all seriousness, when it comes to approaching filmmaking, if you're new in this, I personally recommend doing short films. Don't go in thinking we're gonna do this feature real quick, and I've never done this before, because it's gonna be a nightmare for you personally and also for everybody else, especially if you don't have a budget and your network is not deep enough to be able to have the perfect crew and the supporting team around you to be able to make it happen. I'm not saying that it's impossible, it's just less likely to happen.
So this was probably the first production that I directed that I was able to have a DP, an AD, second camera. Did we have a third? No.
It was second, but it was a second AD. We had all the AD.
We had
the first, second string.
Right, right. Alicia helped with the costume, the wardrobe. And it all made a difference. We had 2 grips. It all made a difference for time. So you can have a nice team.
Yeah, get a good team. And then content is king. Like, this year, make it your year that you flood the market. Let people know that you're out there making content, because those people are going to also be your cheerleaders. That's talking about marketing and everything. I don't want to get into that right now, but yeah, next week we'll talk a little about marketing. But the people, like with me, I'm approaching this like with every little film that we put out. If we're constantly in people's face, if we're doing things, I'm building my worth with them, and I'm building my rapport with them. Because then the next time I say, hey y'all, I'm getting ready to make this film happen, I got friends, people that are not even in the filmmaking, that is coming out the woodworks like, I'll help you out, or I know somebody that can make blah, 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 blah. But if I was to take the exact same year and be in complete silence, but I'm working though, doing my thing, I got myself a 120-page script, and then I try to come out, I may not have a big enough impact. Because I don't have a name for myself. Build a name for yourself. There was a person who goes by the name of Lil Wayne. And Lil Wayne, I don't even remember, it was like maybe a decade or so ago. This guy was on everybody's project. Everybody's project. And I was like, this dude, I'm watching him do it, I'm like, this dude is a master. Not that he may be the best, some people may be like, oh, he's the world. But you know what? He was everywhere. It wasn't not a song you couldn't hear Lil Wayne on. He was, yeah, baby, in the background or this, whatever. He put himself out there and he built this network so that when it came time for his project to drop, it was like the 1-2 setup punch. He was hitting you with jabs, jab, 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 jab. He was wearing y'all out. Wearing you out. But in the back, he was winding up for that big knockout. And the next thing you know, he dropped it. He was like, boom. And everybody was like, oh, he's on top of the world. That's the way I'm approaching this, the exact same way. I'm gonna hit you with so much small content. You're gonna be like, man, this guy's dropping. But in the background, got some big coming. And when I drop that big one, it's not like I went in with all this power after the first bell in the first round, like, dang, it's going to fight, going for a haymaker. Like, that don't make no sense. I put all my power in this first punch, think I'm gonna knock you out. It ain't gonna work. Unless you're Mike Tyson, it ain't gonna work. But if I go in there and I think to myself strategically, when the bell goes off, I'm just jab. I'm gonna wear you down, I'm gonna work you, because I got this one winding up. When I see the time is right, I'm gonna knock him out. I recommend you guys do the same thing. Your short scripts are your jabs. Your big feature, that's the knockout punch. TKO, right. That's how you gotta approach it. Nick, I think you said you feel like you want to say something.
There's so much going on in my mind. Just like any industry, we all have our different nomenclatures. When it comes to meetings, like you mentioned, whatever, a grip is like, what's a grip? Or even when it comes to not only when it comes to departments, but on for certain aspects, you may need a carpenter. Okay, I need this, or landscaping. need this done. So a lot of the things that we're talking about, some of the departments are every day. And don't, try not to get yourself wrapped up in the technical aspect of it because it's a monster. I've been doing this for 24 years now, and I don't know everything. I'm learning every day. I go all the way back to shooting 8mm, 60mm, 35mm tape. I've seen it all. I'm still learning. And that's the great thing. Within this organization, I can say honestly, it's all about relationships. And I use this term a lot. And it's, we're a part of what is from W.E.B. Du Bois, the Talented 10. Does everyone know or heard of what the Talented 10 is? Okay, the Talented 10th is within whatever trade it is, because that's exactly what this is. This is a trade. This is a craft. One from the community would go out, learn this trade, learn this craft, bring it back to the community, teach those who want to know that trade and craft, so when they're ready to go out in the world, even if it's starting out, they already have an advantage over those who are learning right then and there. That's what the Talented 10th is. And within this organization, as much as I can give, I'll give, because I wasn't taught. I had to self-teach. I had to learn. And those within the industry taught me. So it's like, okay, let me teach those who don't know. So when they do go out there, they have a better understanding of what is it that we do. This is a circus. I want to say that right now. This is a circus. But just like anything, this is family. This is family to me. And whatever I can do, please approach. I'm more than happy to talk and say whatever about whatever when it comes to my main stitches, cinematography, lighting, colors, textures, textiles, everything. When I walk in this room, okay, how would I like this? What colors? And that's how my mind's working constantly. And even when watching, whether it's a film, TV show, look at it. Don't watch it, look at it, see what's going on. So whatever message is going on, look at it subconsciously instead of just the entertainment aspect of it. Look at the technical aspect of it, on what's going on within that particular scene, or within the emotions of the actors, or colors, or shot selection. And when you watch a movie with your friends, like, oh, I see what they're doing here, they're going to hate you. They're absolutely going to hate you. Like, shut up, let me just watch this movie without having this commentary behind me. But it's just one of those things, it's like when you love what you do, it's not work. I love this. And I was like, just one of those that are fortunate enough, like, I love it. Absolutely love it. And why don't we just stay here all day and just talk and talk and talk. But, whatever questions you have, regardless of what it is, feel free to come and talk. I just came here to listen, and I came to learn the speakers.
All right, so with that said, I'm gonna shut my trap, and we're gonna go ahead and have a benediction. And is there one that would like to become a member? I'm just kidding. But not kidding. At the same time, we do have memberships. We got one right here. So we do have memberships available for those who would want to become members, which there are benefits to that. But in short, those are $85 annually for the year, and then after this month, it will be $10 a month just to come. So for some people, they'd be like, you know what, I don't feel like coming out this month, so that may work out better for them just to pay monthly, and that's completely fine. But we're going to continue to keep having our meetings here. There will be discounts for people who are members for some of our private classes. We're going to have some classes coming up that's going to go over gear, how to use gear, because that's super important to build within the community. because we are making things happen. We are making projects. We want to also make sure that you're prepared for any type of exterior projects that may come to town or things that may pop up, that you know what an Apple box is, etc., or a light stand, or how to set up a C-stand. Those type of classes are coming up soon, so be on the lookout for that information. I do have some shirts here, some B3C shirts. In case if you'd like to buy one, it's $15. And then again, for the writers that are in the room, and even if you're not a writer, and you just an idea person, a think tank type of a person, we're having a meeting here tonight at 5 o'clock until 7. It's going to be a writing session again for an anthology that is being filmed this spring. So you can stick around, you can leave. There's of course, various places you can go. But for myself, I'm going to be here. With that being said, I thank you God for allowing us to be able to have this moment, to be able to share our gifts with one another, and this season we pray.
Amen. I can ask you about the parking over there.
Yes, that's my parking.
Yeah, it's my first time coming down here, and I'm thinking this area is kind of
Or parking. So it said $6 when I drove in there. Is that for all day?
That's all day. Okay.
But that's not every single day, right?
That's not every single day.
It's just on Saturday?
Just on the weekend.
On the weekend?
Yeah. So they have parking across the street at Mercer Garage too for $6.
It's just saying, that's what I think that's one.
Yeah, Mercer, you have Washington Park Garage that way. Yeah. All right. Anybody else want to have anything you want to say before we out, or you have a question?
Kind of.
Okay.
I just came to support my friend. And I'm kind of like you, like I was like, what is my purpose here?
I got coffee, don't try it.
But so, I'm an artist and I have a product-based business, and a lot of the information that you're sharing actually is on point. Like it's very beneficial to what I do. And then I was also wondering, is there a room for like design? And then like set design?
Oh, listen.
Listen, and as Nick was saying before, there's so many aspects of filmmaking besides just being a director and producer. I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned to Alicia, or I was talking to somebody recently, I was saying that the next time I have a long day shoot, I would love to have masseuse on set. To give somebody, like, you know, like the camera person is walking around like this all day. So their arms and shoulders hurt and everything else like that. And they would love the producer who has a masseuse on set that can be like, can you get the shoulders for me real quick just to get that knot out? And look at this now, you're like, yes. For the person, yeah, and for the person such as yourself, if you're a designer, you're an artist, we need graphic designers. We haven't, like I said, we don't talk about marketing, poster designs, photographers, people who knows how to come up with something creative in a way to be able to capture people, a person's imagination when they're walking in the theater and it's these posters, you're like, man, that's a dope poster. So a designer or artist came up with that. If that's your lane, this is your family. There's so many opportunities. Like she designed the program for the Black Cincinnati Cinema Award Show. She's a wonderful, wonderful graphic designer. You need to be talking about her. Y'all need to be connected because there's a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities. Yes.
I just want to say I'm really excited and glad that I came here. When I first heard about BC3, I was a first-time stage director, and now I have about 7 plays under my belt. We just did 3 of them this year, and I'm just really excited to be here. I went to performing arts, I was a techie, so set design and all that stuff is really in my background. And I actually got my fiance to come from work to come here because he's in LA Film School right now, and we didn't know anything about any of this stuff. So I'm just really excited to be here. I'm really excited to work with you guys. I tell him all the time in his inbox, like, you're so inspiring. I'm always watching your videos. So I'm really excited to meet you guys. And we are always willing to work and help you anything with you guys, whether it's sweeping the floor or moving the lights, whatever you need. So we're really excited. Thanks.
Let it hear.
I will say this. I just put this on the site. A good friend of mine, colleague. His name's Tommy Maddox Upshaw. ASC, that's part of the American Society of Cinematographers. He's done some small shows, just like shot the whole series of Empire, and I think he's on season 5 of Snowfall. Some small stuff. Small stuff. He's giving a webinar on the 11th. I put all the information on the site earlier today. So if you want to know about what lenses, camera, and just his overall aspect when it comes to approach something, the event is free. So all that information is on the site, and whatever I come up with or have something's going on, I put it on the site, so everyone's in the know on what's going on. So there's no secret society. If I hear something like, okay, this is coming to town, this is who you need to talk to, if you need such and such, contact me, let me know, and I'll get you connected to the peoples. Because it's always good to have someone on the inside. Because beforehand, we weren't on the inside. I can go on and on and on about this, but stop.
All right, so with that being said, you are free to network. You can stick around. Like I said before, we're having a writer's workshop, not writer's workshop, but a think tank at 5. Same place, we're not moving from this space. So thank you guys. This place. But I move around the back. I used to rap back in my day.
Bars. 16 bars.
Oh, thank you guys that are online, that watched the whole way through. Leave your comments, all that stuff. Share this video, like this video, smash that subscribe button. Oh, this is kidding. All that good stuff.
Anything and everything you want is like, but everything looks like this is art, it's like this is art, this is art. Everything art, this is art. So don't get yourself wrapped up.
For sure.
Oh, this is not what